Hello everyone, my name is Camila and today on this video I will show you how to replace the top screen for the Nintendo 3DS XL. This is a beautiful Galaxy style 3DS that a viewer sent me here in Brazil, and as you may see it has a lot of dead pixels on the top screen. So he bought this replacement screen, he sent me, and we will be putting this one on the 3DS. The dead pixels, it's a common issue. They sometimes just go away by themselves and sometimes it just gets worse. So in this case, we are going to be replacing the top screen. First, let's turn off the console. Let's flip it around and we have to release these two screws from the back to get access to the battery. Now you can put your fingernail right here in this little gap and simply loosen it. Same on the other side, there's a little gap and you can remove the back plate easily. Leave it aside. Here we have our battery, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 Phillips screws to remove. We have no tri-wing screws on the new 3DS. We will remove these rubber protections very gently and very carefully so we don't break them, okay? I usually like to take this pick and make it go as far down as I can and just gently lift up the little rubber protection. See? And slowly it starts to come off. Now, you don't want to lose it. I'll do the same with the other side. There we go. So we cause no damage to the rubber protections. Now, I will remove all of the screws. When removing these screws, you need to make sure you put the correct amount of pressure or else they may strip very easily. Now, all we have to do is lift this back plate. And we will have to do it first from the top side because this model has the headphone jack here, and it prevents you from lifting it up from this side. So you slowly lift it up from the other side and then you can kind of wiggle it so you can release this bottom part. Now we lift it up very carefully and we have the R and L buttons that we need to gently lift up and disconnect. Great. Now we have a lot of things to undo here. We have to remove the 4 screws from the little board and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws from the big board, okay? There is one more down here. You will also want to remove the 2 screws from the analog stick. Nice. Now we need to remove these little 3 screws from this button. You can also do this without removing them and just simply disconnecting the button from the board, but I prefer to remove the screws and release the button so I don't have to deal with the connector because the connector is very fragile. I prefer to do it this way, but you can do it either way. Now be very careful with this locking tab. Gently lift it up and you can release the small board. Now see, this comes apart all together so you don't have to mess with this connector that is very fragile. I will remove the buttons so we don't lose them. Excellent. Now for the microphone, and the home button. These are both just connectors that are going from pressure, so you just have to gently pull it out, and there you go. Same with the microphone. So be very careful not to rip it, but there is no locking tab here, it's just pressure. Nice. This also happens with this cable right here. Just remove it gently. This one as well. Nice. Now you can remove the cartridge reader connector. We want to remove the antenna. This antenna is kind of rusty. And we will have to remove the touch screen. We have to remove, this one is for the bottom screen. And the analog stick, you can just lift it up gently and release its tab. Be very gentle with these gray tabs. This one tends to break very easily, so always be sure to lock them after you remove the cable. And now the only thing left, if I'm not missing anything, is the camera cable right here, and the speaker cable and the top screen cables that are on the back side. Now I will lift this up very carefully, and as you can see, the cable goes bent outwards, so you can release this cable and also the speaker cable. Always be gentle, and there we go. Now keep the motherboard to a side, and now we have to disassemble the top part. So to do that, we don't need to remove this one or these parts. You can just leave it as they are. We just need to lift this little plastic piece up. There you go. And the LED diffuser that comes together with it. Nice. Now we need to remove the rubber little pads that covers the screws for the top screen. So to do that, you have to be extremely gentle. Be careful not to rip the little covers. Great. Now we can remove the 4 screws for the top screen assembly. Excellent. We can now proceed to removing the top cover for the 3DS. We need to gently slide it towards us from the top side, from the hinge side toward us, so we can release the tabs that are here on the top, see? And now it just comes off without breaking any of these tabs. Excellent. We may proceed to remove this little hinge piece. We have to get a tool. I like to use this dentist pick that just slides in there to find the place. There's a little hole that you can push the tool. There you go. I opened it to 2 clicks, and then after I did the second click, I pushed this little hinge piece and it came out. So now we can just separate both pieces without damaging anything. Now here, be careful because you need to wiggle it a little bit. There we go. And now we can proceed to removing the antenna and the flex cables through this little horizontal line right here. There we go. Now we can leave this part aside and we can work with the top assembly. Now for this assembly, we need to remove the speakers. So we need to remove these two screws that hold the cable together. And in this case, the order we have here is camera is the outermost cable, speaker, it's the middle cable, and the top screen is the innermost cable. Okay, outermost is camera, the middle is speakers, and the innermost cables are the top screen, that's the one we need to replace. So now we gently lift the camera up to the other side and carefully remove our speakers. Oh, and there's a little detail here. There is something you need to watch out for. Well, don't lose these little two guys. They are important. And also this rubber. See, you may want to remove those so you don't have them falling on you. Nice. There are two cables that connect the speaker cable to the top screen, and we need to disconnect them both. Just lifting the tabs gently. And releasing the cables. There we go. Now I'll put the speaker to the other side and we can go about removing the top screen. And now I'll have to roll this cable to feed it through the hinge. I'm wiggling this a bit so I can remove the screen. I'm using the adhesive, and now I can just release it. See, we came with our frame as well. Now I will remove the antenna just so that I have more space to put the new screen on. As you can see, the new screen is exactly the same as the old screen. Now we will need to connect these two cables. I will do this now. It's kind of hard to work with the speakers because they want to stick to the top screen. What I will do actually is I will feed the cable first and then I will connect those small cables. Be very careful with this process as these are really delicate cables. There we go. Very nice. Now that we have this done, we can connect the cables to the speaker. Be sure the two cables are seated all the way. And now we can proceed to lower our screen. We have to pass the antenna first. Sorry. The antenna has to go inside the three cables, so you have to make sure you have it well placed before seating the screen. There we go. Since this has a screen protector, I will need to make sure that doesn't get under, because I will remove this last. Okay, nice. Great. The hardest part is done. Now we can proceed to putting back the plastics here with the little foam thing. And also, do not forget to put your slider buttons back. And make sure they are aligned with the button itself. If your button is at the top there, you have to align it so your slider will work. There we go. The same on the other side. Place the slider and align the little black button. See, this is how long it should take. Just placing everything shouldn't take you much time. There you go. There we go. About 200 hours later, we have done it. Now we just have to follow the steps backwards. Easier said than done. Let's go. Proceed to take the bottom assembly and pass the antenna and all the cables through the hinge again. Antenna first, since it's the largest. And there are the cables, slowly going back to its place. There we go. And we can fit everything back in its place. There we go. Now this camera is moving around a lot and I'm not really liking that. So I may consider just using some tape, so it just don't moves on me so much. I put a little bit of tape right here so the camera stops falling, okay? It's not mandatory. I need to put this little piece back, and so if I removed it, with the console on the 2 clicks position, I will try to place it kind of the same position and slowly go fitting back the hinge piece till it's all in. Make sure it's fully inside before trying to close the console, or else you may damage the shell. There you go. There are the clicks we wanted to hear. Very, very nice. Now make sure everything is in its place, and now we can just place the top screen, the top cover plate, sorry, back. Remember we slided it downwards to open it. We will slide it upwards now to close the console. There we go. Nice. I will place the screen screws. If you have trouble putting the screws back, make sure you have the top cover fully placed, fully seated, okay? Make sure there's no gaps anywhere and it's all very aligned. Excellent. Now we have to put the antenna back. And we have to start assembling the top, the big motherboard, okay? Now, remember, we first place the speaker cable, that's the middle one, so then we can seat the top screen cable. Nice. And this cable, as you might remember, it went, let me show you, it was folded this way, outwards. So we need to fold it outwards as well to place it in the motherboard. This is kind of a tricky cable to seat. Be sure you have a lot of patience, and as soon as you fold it, you can use the help of tweezers, and there you go. Be sure it's fully in, and now you can do the little fold here. Now to seat the board back, you have to lift the ribbon cables, and be sure you don't leave anything below it. Also, the antenna needs to come. I find it kind of tricky to make the antenna stay still. There you go. Make sure you don't forget these cables too. And this one's here. See, it's a bit complicated, but it's possible. There you go. Now that we have everything, and we're making sure nothing got stuck under the board, we can start to screw everything back. We want to put back the LED diffuser and the plastic tab. Okay, seems fine, except not, now it's fine. Goes this way, please don't put it backwards like I just did. Let's connect the touch screen. Let's connect the bottom screen. The backlight. And these ones, remember, they go by pressure, so just make sure they are fully in. The camera. Cartridge. I believe this is the NFC reader thing. Home button. Everything's just so fragile. Microphone. Nice. Now I will start placing the buttons so I can put the small board to test it. The older versions of the 3DS are easier to test before putting them all back together. You can do some testing here without putting everything back together, but it's riskier since you have two boards. So I prefer taking my time and putting everything back together before testing. I just won't put back the back screws. There we go. We now need the little board. Make sure it's all the way in. And your little button here too. Now, before I put these screws, I will do my testing, okay? I just want to see if the screen is fine. Nice. Very nice. I hope this is the plastic. I'm seeing some scratches. I have touch screen. Perfect. Now we can continue with the assembly. Now that we are sure everything is working, we can go on and finish screwing everything. I missed this one down here. Very nice. It's always kind of nerve-wracking to work on these special edition 3DSs, but it's always very nice to see them working again. Nice. Check that you haven't forgotten anything before proceeding. Let's connect the R and L buttons. I really don't enjoy connecting these ones on the new 3DS XL. I don't know why. It seems like they wiggle a lot more than the old models. There we go. The L is kind of easier. There we go. Now put the headphone jack and lock everything back in its place. I'll be screwing the screws on the back plates now. Nice. Before putting the rubber pads back, let's check that everything is working. Great. Volume. The 3D slider is not working. I'm not sure why. I'll have to double check on those ribbon cables. Everything else seems to work. So now all it's left to do, if everything is working for you, all you have to do now is put these little protections back and also remove the lens from the old console, from the old screen, and put the lens into the new screen. The two cables are fine. I'm not really sure what may be causing the issue. The two cables were seated properly. So I went back and opened the console again, and I found out that the speaker cable, the one that comes before the top screen cable, was just a tiny bit, millimeter out of the connector. So I reseated it, and now we have 3D effect. See, no 3D, and now we have 3D. No 3D. See, in camera it's kind of weird to catch it, but it's there. Nice, that was all that was to it. Now we'll just go and place the rubbers back in. It's very important that you keep these ones because the console just doesn't look nice without these pads. So please be very careful with those. You can get replacements for them, but it won't come perfect colors. Sometimes the colors are a bit off, so it's very noticeable. So keep the original ones that you get perfect colors for your model of 3DS. And see, very, very, very beautiful. Now we just need to put the lens back together. See, now what I do here is just go sliding under the frame until it's out, like that. See? Now we need to get some adhesive in here, or else it won't stick to the screen. There we go. Now for the final touch. Is just putting the lens back together. And there we go. Let's just check again that everything is working fine. We got volume, we got R and L. I think L is a bit dirty. I'll check on that. And there we go. Touch screen is working, and we're done. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.